What's going on, everybody? All you cheap DIYers out there, hope you're having a good day. If you clicked on this video, it sounds like you got a camshaft position sensor issue. I was sitting at home eating my goddamn Fruit Loops and the wife texted me. All of a sudden the car stalled out on her. She managed to get it restarted, but then all of a sudden she had to check engine light, started freaking out, calling me. And I'm at a point in life where I thought I was rich enough not to be doing this stuff on my own, but sure enough, called the shop. A little bit too expensive on my own, and realistically, this is pretty straightforward little sensor swap. Cross your fingers it's a sensor, but more than 9 out of 10 times it is the actual sensor. So this is what I'm going through. This is a how-to of how I'm going to swap this out, and this is where you're going to get started. So let's get at it. First things first, hopefully you have one of these cheapo meters. This thing's fucking ancient, but it still does the job. Long story short, I put the meter, whatever you want to call it, the little computer module into the OBD2 sensor, which is found underneath your dash of your car. In my case, sorry, I'm getting hung up here on my, there we go. So you put it into your car, a code will pop up. That code will be P0340 or 345. There's two codes, and the reason why there's two codes is because there's actually two sensors in your car. So let's go take a look at that, and I'll explain that in a second. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm wearing this goddamn hat, it is November and there's a cold front coming through Florida. It is a frigid 55 degrees outside right now. I really don't want to be doing this in this weather, but unfortunately it is what it is. It's a Sunday and the wife's got to go to work and she uses this truck, so that's why I'm wearing this freaking headset. Cheers. All right, hood's popped. First things first, let's have a beer. And because this girl's a little old too, you know what? Let's give her some beer just for good luck here. There you go, girl. There you go. She's got a lot of miles on her. She can handle it. After putting that many miles, I'd want some beer too. So, all right. As I mentioned, there's two codes, 340 and 345. What that means is there's two sensors in this engine. So 340 technically refers to bank 1 or the passenger side. And then 345 refers to bank 2 or the driver's side. So there's two sensors, and unfortunately I'm working with a Nissan Xterra right here, an 06, and these things are fucking buried, like literally up against the firewall, like the worst fucking position for anything to get at. So that's what I'm dealing with. Let's go take a look at the sensor really quick. So I bought this from AutoZone. Brand is Hitachi. I actually called the Nissan dealership. They said it was going to be over $200 to buy this OEM. This was like 54 bucks off of AutoZone's website. So this is what the sensor looks like. And this sensor in particular is straight for this Nissan Xterra. There's an angled sensor on this side. This one's slightly easier to get to. This one sucks to get at, but this is what we're going to be replacing. So we got to take the sensor out, and it is down there with a 10mm bolt, okay? Just one little 10mm bolt. That is going to be our mission right now. Don't try to bother disconnecting this stuff. Just leave all that connected. Let's try to get this bolt off and take it from there. I've actually tried to go from this angle to access it, and it sucks. I got all cut up and fucking look like shit. Couldn't get it. I think the easiest way, and it's gonna look like shit, but literally you have to get up on top of the engine and come in from this angle, and that is the easiest way. And the easiest tool to use is just like a little tiny 10mm wrench. So I'm gonna try to drop the camera in there, and let's have at it. Okay, I'm literally laying on top of my engine, and I can't see shit. I know the sensor's around here. And there we go. I feel the nut, or the bolt, the 10mm bolt. So I'm gonna get my wrench on it. There we go. There we go. Now let's take that off. All right, put that aside. Let's try to pop that sensor up now. It's tight here, but where the fuck did you go? Literally, I can't feel that for it. There we go. Let's pop that out. And this thing's in the way. This harness right here. I'm gonna try to work around it. Hopefully I can. If not, I'm gonna have to cut this shit out. Alright, update here. In order to get the actual sensor out of the way, I actually had to take off another 12mm bolt that held the wiring harness. This wiring harness right here. The wiring harness gets right in the way of the actual sensor itself, so you can try to pull the sensor out, but it runs into this wiring harness. So if you keep feeling around underneath, there's a 12mm bolt that has a little bracket on it, and once you take this off, the wiring harness gets freed up, and you can push it against the firewall, and then you can pop your sensor out. So essentially 2 bolts. This is for the sensor, and this is for the wiring harness. And then you move on to the next pile of bullshit. All right, the next pile of crap that I had to deal with, I'm still back up against the firewall here. This connector is a pain in the ass, but this was so hard to get off. You should have heard me swearing, but it is off, but I'm gonna explain how I took it off. So there's a little button right here. You slide that all the way up, and then you start pulling on the connector, and if you pull hard enough, it will come out. Okay, that looks super simple. I fucking assure you that this fucking sucked a lot. So enjoy that one if you're gonna be doing this yourself. Welcome to my bed. This is how I've been living for the last, I don't know, 30 minutes. Actually, it hasn't been taking that long. This, to be honest with you, this job's super simple. It's just 2 bolts, but the fucking location of that stupid sensor just makes this so much more difficult. So anyways, out with the old, in with the new. So I'm just gonna reverse this all, and I'll just keep recording. Cheers. Fuck, speaking of cheers, I'm gonna get a fucking beer. This is bullshit. There we go. All right, put this motherfucker back in. Where's that connector at? There's the connector. This thing, this new sensor should slide right in. Dude, it's such a pain in the ass to work it back here. Push, push, push. Push. That's gotta be in all the way. It clicked. Ah. All right, first things first. I'm gonna put the sensor back in. And I remember the bolt was on the right. Oh yeah, you're supposed to lube this up with some oil, so I'm just gonna fucking finger the engine here. Put some oil all the way around you, yeah. Finger that engine. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, but all right. Put that in. Nice hole. You're probably not seeing shit on the camera at this point. I'm just feeling. There we go. Grab my 10mm. All right. 10mm wrench. Tighten. Nice and tight. 12mm for the harness now. Where the fuck are you? 12mm socket or wrench. Tighten the bitch up. Fucking right. Success. Woo! Woo! All right. Well, that's done. Let's get back in the car. All right, boys and girls, and all you other non-binaries out there, one last thing left is to try to clear your check engine light. Technically speaking, the engine's not on right now. I just have the keys and accessories mode or whatever. But this should clear itself. However, if you want to clear it, if you have one of these readers, then you can clear it yourself. It's not reading right now, but give it a second and it will read the codes, and I will end up clearing this. And what I'm gonna do is monitor the situation for whatever, a couple weeks or whatever. Like I said, 9 out of 10 times it will be the sensor. However, it's not always the case. I mean, when you get a code like that, it says that whole system, right? So the whole system means it could be from the computer, it could be the wiring, and it could be the sensor. Or you actually have a situation with your camshaft, which would be a nightmare if it was. So, but yeah, so monitor it for a few weeks and you should be good to go. I do actually have another code on this little cocksucker of a fucking vehicle, which is P0463. And what that means is my fuel gauge, my fuel sending unit, let's say, the thing that measures the level of fuel in your gas tank, is giving bad signals. So that's why I have that code. I will clear all these. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I will be going on to another project with this thing, either try to clear that code or other stuff in my house. So please subscribe. Until then, have yourself a fucking beer. I will say this about this whole situation is as simple as of a project that this should be. This was a pain in the fucking ass. The position of where that sensor is located makes this thing 100 times worse than what it should be. So fuck you, Nissan, on that one, on the design. But hey, you know what? If you do it yourself, you save yourself some money. Cheers.